So we've done the first step. We have cropped and we have straightened the image. And now we're going to zoom in and access the damage. I use Command plus on a Mac to zoom in and Command minus to zoom out. You can also go over here and get the magnifying glass to zoom in, and then go over here and get the magnifying glass to zoom out. But that takes a lot of time. So I like to keep the Move tool selected. V is the shortcut for that. And then Command plus, Command minus. I'm going to give you guys a lot of shortcuts that can really make your workflow more efficient. So if we zoom in, we've got a lot of little dots, not too many lines, just a couple, a little bit of staining here. How I grade and how I choose to start to retouch is to make sure it's at 100% magnification. Holding down the space bar to move around the image. Okay, I can see what I need to do. Got a very weird line right here, and my horizon line is I would say pretty crooked, something we can fix. Also, this side of the image is darker than this side. So we can figure all this out. First thing we're going to do is duplicate our layers. And I'm going to drag up the layer panel here so that you can see it better in the video, and then make the thumbnail size a little larger. We want to duplicate this. We do not want to edit this layer. So we can duplicate it by selecting it, and when it's blue, it's selected, and dragging it down to the new item icon next to the trash. If you're ever wondering, hey, what does that button do? Just hover over it. That's how you create a new layer. If I click directly on Create a New Layer, it will make a new blank layer. And in this case, I wanted to duplicate my layer. So I selected it and drag it down to New Layer, and it copied my layer. Let's take a minute to look at the history. You don't need to Control Z anymore, right? You can use the history. You can go back, say I want to go back to before I duplicated the layer. I could Control Z, or I could just click above it. If I wanted to go back before it was cropped, I could click above the crop. Now, if I change my mind, I can click back down. The history panel does not save with the file, and you only have so many steps. You can find out how many steps you have by going to Photoshop, Preferences, File Handling. Let's see where it is, Performance. There it is. In Performance, under History and Cache, it's going to save 20 history states. I'm going to make that 50. It can go up to like 999 or 1,000, but your computer is going to be dragging at that point. So pick something reasonable like 59 and hit OK. We've got two layers. They are identical. I'm going to turn off the eye on my background layer. By doing that, even if I wanted to get crazy and paint, it's going to say, forget it. You can't use the brush tool on this layer because it's hidden. And I made it hidden by just turning off the eye. So when I turn the eye on for my background copy and select that, I can do things to this copy. I can work with the pixels. I can make mistakes because it's a copy of the original. All right, sound good? Next thing we need to do is make a black and white adjustment layer. Sometimes your file may look black and white, but by adding a black and white adjustment layer located in the adjustment panels, it can get rid of a lot of staining and also allow you to adjust how the values fall. So I'm going to go over to Adjustments. You can roll over them to see which is which. Black and white, second row, third one from the left. And what this does that is so awesome is it adds an adjustment layer at the top. So the way people used to do it when I was young is they'd go to Image, Adjustments, and they would desaturate it. But you can't go back, right? You can go back in the history, but once you've gone so far, you can't go back and change that. You also can't make parts of it black and white, parts of it color, right? So by doing this with an adjustment layer, I not only get this option to play with the values, Actually, it can clean it up a little bit on the one side. If I drag the cyan, I drag the blue, you can see that it's adjusting the values here and making it a little less dark on that side. So this is kind of like being in the dark room. That is an adjustment layer. It is a new layer that you can turn on and you can turn off. And if you save this file, you can at any time go in and make adjustments to it and use this layer mask that comes with it. But more on that later. Put that there. Okay. The next layer we're going to make is on top of the black and white layer. I'm going to hit New Blank Layer and name it Retouching. This layer needs to be on top and it needs to be blank. That's where we're going to be using the clone stamp, the healing brush, the spot healing brush, and the patch tool. The advantages of doing it on a blank layer is that if you hate it, you can turn it off or throw it away and you're not losing anything. You can also erase parts only on the blank layer. Anything that you do to the pixels on here will be destructive, but this is a great way to learn how to use these tools. And they can be a little tricky, and we're going to go through all of them. But while you're learning, make it easier on yourself and set it up so that you can turn layers on and off. You can throw them away if you need to, and that you can start to use what are called layer masks.